Okay, let's start out with video one in a five-part series. I have to say that over a period of 25 plus years, I've made myself the guru of Nikon lenses. The one advantage that I have on Fuji lenses is that there are not that many that are out there. As is the case, as I've actually mentioned many times before, when someone says, especially on the internet or YouTube, that, well, this lens is great and I think you should buy this lens, and we have to objectively ask the question and the premise, what A is your spectrum of experience? Part 2, what is your exposure to this lens series, i.e. Nikkor lenses, for example, or in this case Fuji lenses? Because if someone's only owned 5 or 6 Nikon lenses or 2 or 3 Fuji lenses and they say, well, this lens is excellent, well, that's not a broad spectrum of experience that someone could say objectively and logically and intelligently that that is a good choice. Now, while it certainly is the case that subjectively what you shoot, whether it be weddings or macro photography or something else, is your own specific requirement, regardless of what someone else recommends. Someone has to give you an objective recommendation, A, based upon how good the lens is or is not, i.e. its value or its inherent attributes that make an exquisite lens, whether that attribute is involving price or not, or whether it's expensive lens or an inexpensive lens is both relevant and irrelevant. If someone wants to know what the best lens for them is, you have to give them an objective, logical conclusion based upon objective criteria, and then you have to give them a subjective conclusion based upon what it is that they plan to do with that lens and or what their budget is. So there is a list of objective criteria. It is the case now, thanks to a few friends, that I have tested all current Fuji lenses except for 3. One being the 50 millimeter to 230 millimeter, the other one being the 55 to 200 millimeter, and the third one being the 16 millimeter. As is the case right now, I have a tremendous fortune in long telephoto glass in Nikkor and Tamron. And I'm not interested myself, subjectively, at this point, in having, some much longer telephoto lenses for my Fuji system. But as is the case, I've tested and objectively looked at all Fuji lenses. I've used all of them now, except for those 3, which is a good basis of experience where I can make objective, logical, reasoned, and rational choices based upon my extensive experience with lenses now, also including the Fuji system. So I would like to introduce you to a lens that actually, and it's pretty rare that I'm actually shocked at how good a lens was when I tested this out a month ago. And especially, I've said many times, one of the most important lenses is a wide zoom. Likely so, in a general sense, a wide zoom is the second most important lens to have. Now I am one that advocates first and foremost prime lenses for many countless reasons which I mentioned elsewhere, but let's take a look at this lens. This is a darling, and this is one lens like the Tamron 15 to 30 2.8 that shocked me as far as what it does and what it's capable of, its quality, and many other attributes. This is one lens I would call an absolute must purchase, and let me detail you the reasons why in a minute. And this is the Fuji 10mm to 24mm constant f4 aperture. Has optical image stabilization, 72mm front filter. It is all metal. It's made in Japan. It is AR coated. The EBC stands for electron beam coating, but that's just a fancy reference for vacuum deposited crystalline anti-reflective coating on the front element there, as well as some other elements. It's 14 elements in 10 groups, 4 aspherical elements and 3 ED glass elements. Now the equivalent for 35mm folks, and I'm always thinking of this myself, the equivalent of this in a full frame or 35mm is 15 to 35 millimeters. So the 10 to 24 is 15 to 35. Now the zoom ring has rubber knurling on it. The actual manual focus ring, which is by wire, is metal, anodized metal. This is all anodized metal except for the rubber focusing ring, rubber zoom ring right here from 10 to 24. It has the perfect amount of resistance. I applaud Fuji for that. You actually have two switches here between automatic and manual aperture adjustment and optical image stabilization on and off. Like I said, it's all anodized aluminum alloy, 7 rounded aperture blades. This lens makes beautiful, which is really quite rare in any wide lens, much less a ultra wide zoom lens. It really does make beautiful, perfect bokeh. This is where Fuji really blew it out of the park. It also makes exquisite sun stars. Now, something else that's absolutely amazing about this lens, it has basically near zero vignetting from far to near, from both 10 millimeters to 24 millimeters. I can say unequivocally, and I am a total wide zoom slut, that this is the best wide zoom that I've ever used. And it's also small and compact and lightweight, but it's not cheap and plasticky. Now, right now, this is on sale for $850, normally $999 or $1,000. So this is the best wide zoom I've ever used by any manufacturer, and it's extremely high quality. You have also on this particular lens, what's rather shocked to me is, especially on a wide zoom like this, is you have no white highlight color fringing. Absolutely exquisite. For a wide zoom, it has exquisite, unmatched micro contrast. They call Zeiss Pop is actually micro contrast, and I've told you before in other videos, micro contrast is intertonal transmission or translation to the sensor, what's ultimately captured on your SD card or your compact flash card. So that means that this is also an exquisite lens for black and white work. It says all metal, made in Japan, optical image stabilization or OIS. Now here's another important factor. I need to point that out right now. Let me show you the rear of the lens. Right here. This lens also does not suck any air. Now as you'll see as I zoom in from 10 to 24 or 24 to 10, that the front group zooms. If you have a filter on, it's not going to suck any dust. But what is amazing about this lens, and I have tested the Fuji 14mm, the 18mm, and the 23mm, that this lens is superior to all three of those lenses. The one that this lens that blows the other Fuji away specifically is the 18mm. Now you would think as a prime lens the Fuji 18mm would excel at 18mm over this 10 to 24, but it doesn't even come close. Others have come to this conclusion as well. Even the corner-to-corner sharpness is superior on this 10 to 24 than the Fuji 18mm. This lens is also sharper, center, but not corner-to-corner, than the 23mm Fuji Prime. Absolutely the case. The only place, and is by a marginal bit, that this lens does not excel, and it's very close, is the 14mm Fuji Prime. Also the 14mm Fuji Prime has better to corner cornering, but it also has more vignetting than this 10 to 24. The 10 to 24 vignetting on this from far to near is absolutely exquisite. It's unmatched. So I can say that without spending a fortune on the wide primes like the 14mm, the 23, and especially the 18mm, which I can state, not subjectively but objectively, that the 18mm Fuji Prime is a failure. This lens far exceeds it. For a wide zoom, that's rather rare. But the 18mm is kind of long in the tooth. Now, ultimately, so far as years are concerned, it's not, since it's a Fuji lens and it hasn't been around for all that long. But this lens definitely tops it. So far as saving money and getting a 10 to 24 wide zoom, that absolutely tops the 18mm in every way, shape, and form, including corner to corner. This beats it. It beats the 23mm in center IQ. It beats all of them in micro contrast, except for the 14mm. Now the 14 and 23 have better corner to corner sharpness, but the 14 is very slightly sharper than the 10 to 24 is at 14mm, but not by much. So it really was no question after testing that I cannot recommend in any way, shape, or form the 14mm, the 18mm, especially the 18mm, or the 23mm Fuji. As I mentioned before, it has rubber knurling on the zoom ring. It's 14.2 ounces, as I said before. It's $850 currently on sale. And I have now thanks to the help of 3 different people, tested all Fuji lenses, X-mount lenses, X-series lenses, except for 2 telephotos and the 1 16mm. So I can give a rational, logical, wide spectrum conclusion and be objective about this particular lens, because I will not suffer what other people have to suffer from watching video reviews by other people, like I said, that have 2 or 3 lenses. I'm somewhat new to the Fuji system, but I'm certainly not new to glass, so I have a tremendous amount of experience with lenses, and that is translational from Nikon into Fuji, so I can state that all of that, all those testing criteria and objective conclusions are 100% identical, whether it's Fuji glass or whether it's Nikon glass, or Zeiss glass, or Voigtlander glass, or Tamron glass, that this is an absolute must-buy. Now, I'm going to be showing you in the next 4 series, since I've used and tested all Fuji lenses, what are the other 4 must-haves. Now, that must-have comes with a caveat. You may not shoot, for example, one of the other lenses that I'm going to show you is a pancake prime, but I'm going to tell you why it really is a must-buy for several reasons, and including one quasi-mystery lens that nobody really talks about that is an absolute must-buy. But I'm going to go over 5 specific Fuji lenses that I consider to be absolute must-buys in the spectrum of Fuji X-series lenses. And as I've said, this 10-24 was actually shocking. When I tested it a little over a month ago. I've been planning on getting it, and since it went on sale, I had to jump on it and get it, and it is spectacular. As I've said, I guarantee you that there's nobody else on YouTube that has more experience with wide zooms than I do. Nobody else has used as many wide zooms as I have, and I absolutely love them. They're an indispensable, second most important lens in most situations. It doesn't even matter what sort of shooter you are, really. Having a wide zoom is really that vital and important. That can't be said about much. Having a normal and a wide zoom I consider to be the first 2 primary lenses to have, unquestionably so. And this lens is absolutely shocking. The quality on it, the build of manufacture, the anodized aluminum, the fit, fill, and function is reminiscent of Cosina Voigtlander, which of course is the same people that make most of Zeiss's lenses in Japan. Now, a few Zeiss lenses obviously are still made in Germany, but most of them are built in the Cosina plant and built in Japan. This lens is also made in Japan. All the engraving for the numbers is laser engraved. Optical image stabilization too is wonderful, especially on a wide zoom, although it isn't really all that necessary on a wide zoom. I'm certainly not complaining about it being there because it is helpful. However, it is not all that necessary. It is not a fifth wheel, but it is not that necessary on a wide zoom. But it is useful, and anything that's useful, not kitschy or not redundant, it is useful. I have to be objective about that. However, not all that necessary in a wide zoom. So I cannot recommend this lens any higher. I cannot say that anybody that were to purchase this lens, cost not being in consideration, and it is an expensive little lens, but the quality on it is absolutely exquisite, that anybody could be unhappy with this lens. And as I've said before about 5 minutes ago, this is superior, far superior to the Fuji 18mm prime. Yes, believe it or not, this wide zoom is superior to that prime lens. It is superior in every way to the 23mm, including center IQ, except for corner-to-corner sharpness. But that would be the case, whether that be a Canon, Nikon, Fuji lens, or a Zeiss lens or a Voigtlander. That would certainly be the case. But it is not that bad. The vignetting on this lens is almost non-existent. The bokeh is absolutely stunning. On a wide prime, that's stunning enough. On a wide zoom like this, that is really rather stunning. And the sun stars are exquisite on this lens. This lens I would consider an absolute must-buy. If you have the Fuji system and you don't already have this lens, I can state that not owning this lens is almost tantamount to a mistake, because this lens really is that good. Thank you for watching so much. If you like this video, you can drop me a buck or two, or go tell me to jump off a cliff. Whatever makes you the most happy.